Are you serious? Are you serious? An autobiography of Satan? What? Serious as a heart attack. Today, I would like to discuss this book called Satan, an Autobiography. It is a book by a Kabbalist rabbi named Yehuda Berg. Now, I'm not going to agree, obviously, with everything a Kabbalist rabbi says, but the major thrust, the major thesis of this book is that Satan is within all of us. For some time, Lucy and I have been doing videos about how God is within all of us. This is true. God is within all of us. But also, the negative aspects of ourselves, Satan would be within all of us as well. Now, this is a nice short book. Could be read, say, in a nice mid-October afternoon, sitting by the pool, nice 85-degree weather. That is, if you live in Southern California. There are some advantages to living in California. For all of my northern subs. Are you serious? Well, as I say, the major thesis is that ego, our own ego, is a Satan that is within us. And I'm going to be reading passages from this book, several passages. And it will probably extend this video to be longer than just one. I'm going to break it up into at least 2 videos, I think. But we'll see how it goes. On page 40 of the book, page 39 actually, starting with page 39. Fortunately for you, God gives you a custom-designed tool for overcoming ego. Your ability to choose proactive, short-term pain instead of being bridled with lifetime misery. Now, please overlook the term God, if you choose the Creator God, and just look at this as being this Christ consciousness, this God nature within us. But I, that is Satan, our inner demons, compromise you day in and day out. I convince you that it is better to, quote, keep the peace than to speak the truth. Sure, there's a way to really keep the peace, but it's not by keeping your mouth shut when something needs to be said. It is not about being nice when difficult actions must be taken. It is not about coping. It is about dealing. So many of us don't want to deal with having to do the scary thing of telling people what they need to hear. And Lucy and I are doing just that. We're telling you what you need to hear. It ain't always pretty. You don't always like to hear it, especially certain people who worship a certain someone who died on a cross. But it needs to be said. And we are the ones who need to say it. Those of us who are able to recognize the truth, don't live in a constant state of denial, don't tell ourselves that everything is okay when it's not. Don't look the other way and ignore what people do simply because that's the easy path. It's in the long run, it's not. In the long run, it's not the easy path at all. Not in our individual lives, and not in the lives of what we're supposed to be doing as spiritual leaders. All of you out there who understand and agree with what Lucy and I are doing, you are supposed to be teachers. You are supposed to be leaders. Do not bite your tongue and ignore the overwhelming arrogance of certain people to tell you what the truth is when it's nothing but a lie. Don't ignore it. Page 40. God doesn't want you to merely cope. Sure, you can absorb a lot of pain, but you're not supposed to. You are meant to take on the momentary discomfort of confronting that difficult situation, but instead, you push aside the truth and become full of pride and self-righteousness. You are supposed to earn paradise. Do you think you are going to do that by playing Mr. Nice Guy? That is one of my favorites. The person who thinks he is so brave, when in truth, he is a coward. He might be nice to your face, but behind your back he'll throw you under the bus to protect his good name. Lucy and I aren't playing nice guy online with people. We are telling them the cold, hard truth about things. A lot of people don't like to hear the truth. It's nice to just shrug your shoulders when somebody says something, for instance, like, oh, the Christian church, they're good people. They don't do anything wrong. If that were the case, then Lucy and I wouldn't be necessary, people like us. But we are necessary. A lot of things can be said about her and I. I can pick apart just about anybody. I can really get into the core of the negative of just about anyone, including myself. A lot of things can be said about us. But one thing cannot be said is that we are cowards. That we just let things just go by. I am not going to be anything but straight with anyone. And for that, we get a lot of hatred. Yet we're called the haters. Just stand up and deal with a difficult situation in front of you. Why do you think it's there? So you can sweep it under the rug? Face it, it is your challenger. It is your opposition. It is your adversary. So get in the ring and fight. If you keep hiding, I win. Satan wins. The negative aspects of ourselves. We are trying to protect our egos so much that we won't tell people what they need to hear. If you want to be a good person, you can't always be the nice guy. And that's the hard truth. The people that are generally liked by the world are not the people telling the truth. They're not the people being upfront with others. The question is, what do you want to be? Because not telling someone what they need to hear, and you know that they need to hear it, just to save yourself, to save an argument, to save that person saying nasty things about you, doesn't do you or them any good. You must be selfless enough to sometimes be the bad guy, at least in the way they perceive you. They'll perceive you as a bad guy every chance they get, because people don't want to face their own demons. That's what this book is about. If you learn to face your own demons, then you'll be a much happier, much healthier person. Not just physical, but your well-being spiritually and your well-being mentally. Okay, page 43. Would you like to know a shortcut for kicking the pain habit? Simple. Renounce selfishness. Selfishness is a tool specifically designed to inflict repeated pain on yourself. Sure, when you renounce selfishness, it'll hurt like hell. But that's fleeting pain. It's the only pain you'll have to experience. There's your magic formula. Yep, that's the ticket. Give selfishness the boot and say hello to eternal life. You know, you can live this life full of happiness here on earth. Don't even worry about eternal life. Happiness comes when you're right with yourself. Things in this world are not getting any better. They're not getting any better. And I have said it in the past, in past videos of mine, years ago. You need to get yourself straight with other people. It is the selfish person and the cowardly person who doesn't do this. If you have baggage to deal with, we all generally have baggage to deal with, then deal with it. Because when things get really bad, and they will, you don't need to be adding on to that with the excessive emotional baggage that you're carrying. You know, it doesn't take a psychiatrist to tell you to face your fears. It doesn't take a psychiatrist to tell you to go to the people you have wronged and the people who have wronged you. It's important that you do this. It's important that you do this now, not tomorrow. Because, first of all, you're not guaranteed a tomorrow. Second, it doesn't look like tomorrow is going to be a very good day. Am I misjudging the way of the world? Please, someone tell me that the world's getting better. Please point it out to me. Maybe I'm wrong. If you don't deal with the people in your past who have wronged you, if you don't learn to let go of that, and that really needs to come with you doing your best, if you can, to address that person directly, then you will be carrying a load into hell that's just going to break you. I'm giving you sound advice. You may not want to do it. There's a lot of things in this world that we have to do. Sometimes we got to stand up and, be adults instead of acting like children all the time. Seems like this entire generation, the one that's immediately after mine at least, want to be nothing but children. Playing video games, watching TV, going online to badmouth anything and everything. Grow up. And you're going to have to learn how to grow up spiritually. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. Page 45. As you begin to renounce selfishness and overcome ego, gradually you come to the realization that the ego is not you. Not an easy task. But when you do get there, you're happy that I am the one going through the hell and not you. Of course, whenever this says I, it means Satan. Satan's autobiography. When you reach a level of wisdom, let's call it a state of awareness, where you generally understand that it is me behind your ego, you'll be excited to put an end to the game for good. But it takes a lifetime, typically many lifetimes, this author does believe in reincarnation, to achieve that elevated state of consciousness. Over the centuries, I've watched tough men weep, run like sissies, shake in their boots, soil themselves, commit suicide, and literally die of a heart attack when faced with a bruised ego. That is to say, it takes nothing less than Herculean effort to willingly allow the ego to experience pain so that your body and soul can choose happiness. The ego is not you. The ego is this little demon inside of you. The truest form of spiritual understanding is when you come to the awareness that you are not wholly individual within yourself. That this person that has a name, that's given this name at birth, is not you. You are this collective awareness, the collective spiritual understanding. That is true spiritual understanding. When people come out at you with their ego telling you this is what is, this is what is, this is what is, without being willing to hear what you have to say, these people aren't enlightened. These people aren't enlightened. The people that get all the praise and all the money and all the attention, they're already getting, as the Bible says, they're already getting their reward. They're already getting it. They're getting it in this lifetime, but they're not going to obtain any kind of spiritual understanding or reward. Question is, what do you want to be? Are you going to be able to let go of something that is not part of you? You are not this ego. You have to learn to let it go. With that comes spiritual maturity. The reason a grown man fears the death of his ego more than he fears physical death is because he mistakes the ego for himself. He doesn't know it's me, his real enemy. He doesn't know that if the ego dies, he lives. The thought of surrendering the ego is terrifying, but the fearsome threat is just a mirage. It is I who conjures up this fear, injecting it into every cell in your body. Thanks to me, facing this fear can seem almost impossible, but it isn't. Not only is it entirely possible, but overcoming your fear and squaring off against your ego is a very smart play, a winning move, without question. Learning that you are part of a whole, and that whole is all sentient beings. That is true enlightenment. And when you gain that, you gain love for all sentient beings. As often as I'm told I'm full of hate, folks, I'm not full of hate. If I was full of hate, I wouldn't say anything to you. I would just let it go. You're mistaking hatred for tough love. When the person becomes enlightened, they love all beings. And they devote the rest of their existence to waking them up. Excuse me a minute. Okay. I wanted to talk here about the whole charade of what religion teaches. Religion wants to tell you that you are condemned for everything that you do. Page 101. Here's one of my best kept secrets, Satan's best kept secrets. God does not command, nor does God punish. And the Lord of all creation most definitely does not reward. Those are my creations as well. I invented these concepts and slipped them into your religious belief system. Do you really believe that an all-loving God would punish you for making an honest mistake? Or that God would dump you into a world where you are punished for yielding to temptation, especially when the deck has been stacked against you from the moment you were born? What kind of loving God do you serve if you believe that something that you do is going to condemn you for all eternity in fire? I mean, really? Gosh, that is a scary concept to me. What's going on in most traditional Western religious ideas, where you're only condemning yourself. I am, and Lucy is, consistently condemned to hell. Read all the time. You're going to hell. You're going to hell. You really want to believe in a God that all I've done is I've taken 3 numbers and placed them into my screen name, and therefore I deserve, not only am I just going to go there, but I deserve to burn for all eternity because I put 3 numbers into my YouTube screen name? Seriously? Seriously? That's scary. I'm frightened for you because we condemn ourselves to hell. No God does that. We do that to ourselves. Scary proposition, what most people believe. This part here on page 104 is a very good description of what God is. And I think even a lot of atheists who believe in some kind of spiritual existence would agree with this. This coming from a rabbi, from a Kabbalist. Page 104. The God current, this is titled. The infinite force that you call God operates the very same way. God is not an invisible man in heaven. The word God refers to an infinite pure force of sharing consciousness. The force maintains the entire universe. Every molecule, every atom, every subatomic particle is sustained by this unseen force. The energy is also the absolute, ultimate source of all wisdom, happiness, knowledge, joy, healing, prosperity, and life. That's what God is, and that's what we can tap into that's within ourselves. It is this positive energy, but you can only tap into it if you're not consistently tapping into negative energy, your own personal desires, your own personal lust and needs. Selflessness. Get rid of your ego, and you can know God, because God is within you. He's just being masked by your own concept of yourself. Give up yourself, and you know God. Here on page 125, it says, he wrote, "What would you do if someone in a position of power in your life asked you to walk away from your home, your family, your livelihood, and your community without any guarantee of what would happen next?" Now I'm going to get personal here for a minute. In May of 2011, I had an awakening. I woke up. In May of 2011, I was in graduate school, working towards my master's degree, and eventually I was going to try to get my doctorate in history. In an instant, after I meditated one day, I became fully aware of who I am and why I'm here. Who I am and why I'm here is no different than who you are and why you're here. We have one purpose in this existence, and that is to wake each other up to truth. Now, when I came to this awareness, my wife at the time was less than happy about it. You see, you're supposed to be working towards things of this world. Oh, I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to have that PhD. I wanted to have all those letters after my name. Meaningless. When you wake up to the awareness of who you are, you realize there's only one important thing to do. Love others enough to help them to awaken to the truth. We are all God. Plain and simple. But you know what? There's something in us that's going to prevent us from understanding that. Our own ego and Satan. I didn't say I am God and you're not. That would be ego. We are God. We are God. Now, when I came to this awareness, I lost my family. I lost my home. I even eventually lost any real relationship with my children. I have 2 children. I lost everything. I didn't have to. There were times when I could have just turned around and said, you know what, I can do this the easy way. I can do this the easy way. But once you're awake to this, you can't go back to sleep. You can't. So you got to ask yourself a question. What am I willing to do? Because in May of 2011, I gained the universe but lost my entire world. And it hurt. And I'm only now getting to a place where it doesn't hurt so much anymore. What are you willing to do for this? What are you willing to do? Because let me tell you something. You don't have a whole lot of time left. You don't have a whole lot of time left. There was a time when the truth was covered up. It was dashed to pieces. And the people proclaiming the truth were killed and forgotten. That's not going to happen again. It's not going to happen again. The truth, which resides primarily in the Gnostic church, is not going to die out again. Are you willing to make that commitment? Because Lucy and I have committed our lives to that. You have to ask yourself, are you willing to commit to that? Now I'm going to make this video as short as possible. It's already longer than I imagined most people will watch. Unfortunately, the attention span of people today is limited. So I'm going to continue this in another video. I want you all to seriously consider what's going on in the world. Because you may think it doesn't affect you, and you may think that you can rise above it. And maybe you can. But don't be selfish, because we are going to need people to get through all this hell that comes so that they can teach others in the future. You are teachers. Those of you who have taken on this mantle that Lucy and I have taken on. You are teachers, not just us. Review in your life what's most important. What's most important are others, are other people. Destroy the ego, destroy your selfishness, and you will destroy this entity within you. So, this will be the first of probably just 2 videos about this book. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I gave you some food for thought. Go out there and enjoy a partial solar eclipse today. And thank you. Good day. Good afternoon, wherever you may be. Good morning. And I will speak to you again soon.